Good morning, everyone. You know what I did, Julie?
Yeah, I
Uh,
know exactly what you did. You put the wrong
yep,
thing
I
in.
forgot. I forgot to put the wrong branding on this. You know what we're gonna do really quick? We're gonna do this. Good
Well,
morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, day two. No, it's 8 a.m. in New York City. It is 6 a.m. in Denver and 8 a.m. in Toronto, where the Blue Jays won last night. They will be in the World
Ooh.
Series. Very, very exciting. I'm
the
Michelle Kinney.
Dodgers.
Against the Dodgers on
Yeah.
Friday. I'm Michelle Kinney. I'm here with Julie Roginski and Frederick Pogue. Welcome to the Mayday Morning Show. Um, some very upsetting information/news this morning. Donald Trump has taken a wrecking ball to the East Wing of the White House, and in its place, he is going to build a Mar-a-Lago style ballroom wedding venue, paid for by private donors that he has not yet released. This is so much more than just the physical space. This is not just about the tangible piece of the White House, although it is about that too. This is an example of a much larger demolition of
Mhm.
everything American that we hold dear, whether it be our way of life, whether it be the Constitution, whether it be just the norms of goodness and lines we don't cross in diplomacy. The whole thing is just really upsetting, really depressing. Julie, what are your thoughts?
You know, I was kind of stunned, I guess, to see that picture of the East Wing of the White House be demolished, and there it is. I mean, it is something that East Wing was built over a century ago. They
Mhm.
put the second floor up later, but that East Wing is where it's traditionally the First Lady's offices, which of course this First Lady does not have an office there because why would she? I think she's living in New York and not with her husband. To each their own. But it's just a historic part of our country. I don't know what else to say. I mean,
Yeah.
he would have had to go through a commission to do this legally. So he's actually breaking the law. But
Yeah.
again, thanks to John Roberts, he can do
What are
whatever he
laws? Who
yeah, laws
cares?
don't apply to him because he's president. So go ahead, take a wrecking ball to the White House. Um, you know, I don't know, Michelle or Frederick, if you've ever been to the East Wing of the White House, but it occurred to me as we were talking, Michelle, when you walk into the East Wing of the White House, and I've been there, um, one of the first things you see is that beautiful painting of Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Mhm.
About
Yeah.
that really historic painting. And I wouldn't be surprised because he's such a petty monster
Mhm.
walking through that and seeing. Now, I don't know if it's still there. This is under the Biden era, but um, I don't know if he's such a petty monster that he just didn't like seeing that in addition to everything else. But you go to the East Room, which is a huge room. I've been there. One of our bills at Lift Our Voices got signed. It was
Yeah.
signed in the East Room, which was such an honor to be there to see the president sign it. And it's so much more than about the White House. It comes on the heels of him having that stupid photograph or that AI thing that you and I and Frederick talked about yesterday, where he just is in a plane
He
dumping
dumped poop on all the New Yorkers. Yeah.
Americans, right? And
Yeah.
now he's destroying the people's house. And
Mhm.
if there's a better metaphor, I don't know what it is. In fact, if you wrote a book, they would probably tell you this metaphor is a little too apt, so like it's not subtle enough. It's just insane. And he
Mhm.
doesn't care, and he's going to build this Mar-a-Lago style ballroom.
Wedding venue. Wedding venue.
And I mean, I don't want Mar-a-Lago, and I don't want Bedminster. I want the White House. I want what every president of the 20th
Mhm.
century saw.
Mhm.
I mean, also, it is right above, and I forgot the name of the place officially, but it's basically the bunker where
Yeah.
bad happens to you.
Yep.
The president, the vice president, and their national security team go to that bunker below the White House. That's where I believe where Dick Cheney was taken on 9/11.
Mhm.
And
But where
they're
he was hiding out during the Black
hiding
Lives
out.
Matter
Remember, he was
protests.
yeah, and they can communicate with the military. They can communicate with whoever they want down there. I don't know whether that's also destroyed. But I will tell you this, you put a wedding venue on top of that, and anybody can walk in, because that's what Trump does at Mar-a-Lago. You give money to Trump, you can walk in, no vetting required. This is such a national security threat, I think, on top of everything else.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me.
Well, he's probably going to sell, memberships, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that will be from donors, that will be from business people, that will be from foreign, who knows? And, I just want to put this back up here. This is from Newsweek. The company that is demolishing part of the White House to make space for President Donald Trump's ballroom has been flooded with negative reviews online by people angry at the partial destruction of the East Wing. Quote, destroying the people's house with no regard for their permission. A 1-star review on Google Maps reads, deplorable act no matter the reason. Dozens of people who gave the Maryland headquarter demolition contractor, Akeko LLC, 1-star reviews. The $250 million state ballroom. Okay. And he's saying that we're not paying for it, that it's so we're paying for it. Like, we're paying for it. So according to Trump, the room, which will cover approximately 90,000 total square feet and have a seated capacity of 650 people, would give the White House the space to host, quote, major functions honoring world leaders and other countries without having to install a large and unsightly tent approximately 100 yards away.
Well, I want to say something about this, because this is look, he said, and let me pull up this quote because this is actually relevant.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when he first announced in July that he was going to do this, that he was not going to touch the building. This is what he said July 3 months ago. He said it would not interfere with the current building. It won't be. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building. I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite. It's my favorite place. I love it. That is obviously a lie.
It's my favorite place. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lie.
It's just like a lie.
It's a lie. Like there's no sugarcoating it. There's no whatever. Existing structure demolished by that Maryland, Keko, whatever the hell they're called. And on top of that, he also is putting this gaudy Mar-a-Lago bullshit wedding venue, nonsense, where he's gonna, which by the way is funded. Sorry, Frederick, just to finish the thought, which is funded by anonymous donors. We know some of them. We know Steve Schwartzman gave money personally. He said he's going to put his own money in. Bullshit. But he's also funding this through God knows who. And those people's names might be etched eventually.
Qatar.
Qatar, right? Eventually might be etched on the White House. He said he actually might etch the names of donors somewhere in the White House to honor them. Are you kidding me?
Great.
Are you kidding me? This is the people's house. I don't want Steve Schwartzman from BlackRock's name etched for all eternity. It should be etched in other ways.
Yeah.
But certainly not here.
Do not enter.
Do not enter. Yeah. But
like the office at 21 Club would have Pete Wells' picture being like, please let us know if this guy comes in because, we need to, warning. Like I can't.
I can't wait for him to, do honeymoon packages in the Roosevelt Room. And so then he'll further disgrace the office by, you get your own White House memorabilia and you get your photo taken with the president for the $10 million package because he's that kind of a cheap golf hustler. The thing I think this is why this, besides the obvious why this is so infuriating is, even Marcus Aurelius talked about these plaques and stuff. There you go. I told you. Like they don't matter, right, in the context of history. But Ruphonius, when another Stoic, talked about the reason we have some of these monuments is they remind us of what our ancestors tried to do. That the people's house, the White House, is absolutely that. And every single president, for the most part, maybe not Nixon and certainly not Trump, but even George W. Bush recognized that for all their flaws, for all their problems, they were not a permanent occupant of that house. This was a transition. And why this is so obscene is just like everything Trump does, he's trying to put his name on something that you are just there for a little while.
And
you
then
look
he
at what he's
didn't
done to
earn.
you look at what he's done to the Oval Office.
Right.
Look at,
oh my God.
You look at like everything he's doing it's something that Donald Trump wants to do. Not whether it's needed for the people, not whether it's needed for the United States, not whether it's good for the country. It's what he wants to do because he wants to turn this into his house. He's a demented, old, sick man that's probably a malignant narcissist that just wants some kind of legacy because now I don't think I'm going to get into heaven with everything I've done.
Listen.
I don't know, man. Like, why don't you release the Epstein files and leave it up to God? Let's do that.
And Michelle, you had a great point yesterday, and I totally agree with you. And Frederick kind of alluded to it. He's going to put his name on the White House.
He is absolutely going to put his name on the front. Okay. I mean, we talked about this yesterday, Julie. We did a quick Daily Dispatch later in the afternoon after this news broke. And I was referencing Back to the Future Part 2, where Marty goes back to the alternate 1985, right? And Biff, which was based on Donald Trump. That character was written to reflect his personality. And he goes back to the Pleasure Palace, which is the name of the building, and there's like the TV outside and it's got like the little biography of Biff Tannen and his whole, rise to fame and fortune. And the other thing about this is that Donald Trump, yes, he thinks all this belongs to him, but he didn't earn it. Just like he didn't earn the Purple Heart that somebody gave him, just like he did, like
the soccer trophy that he stole.
The soccer trophy. He just grabs women by the without having to ask first. Like, this is who he is. And to go back to Nixon, Frederick, you referenced, like, Nixon had, as awful as a guy he was, he had respect for the institution. That's why he resigned.
Yeah.
He had, as awful and as corrupt as that guy was, he had the decency to walk away when he knew it, when he'd done something so wrong that he couldn't get out of it and he couldn't escape accountability, at least in the eye of the public. And I just think, like, everything we know about Donald Trump from the last 50 years, like, of course he's tearing down the White House.
Yeah.
Of course he is.
Well, at least with Nixon and the Republicans then, there was at least a line.
Yeah.
There was at least something that said, what, it said, hey, buddy, the Republicans in the Senate came to him and said,
yeah,
we'll let you resign.
He was about to get impeached. I mean, listen.
Yeah, if you don't, you're out. Like, you're
Alex Butterfield walked out of there with those tapes and said, and that was enough. And I don't know that the Epstein files would even do anything at this point.
At this point, I don't know. I really think you do not have anybody left in the Republican Party that is willing to take, maybe, you have, I shouldn't say that. You have a few, it seems like maybe Tom, like Massey, and maybe some more opportunistic sorts like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are now, like, maybe, but it's going to be at the 11th hour, and it's literally going to just be so late, it's almost not even worth it, because at this point, that's why I'm not shocked by this. I'm not shocked that he left. I'm not shocked that he doesn't care about the institution of the presidency. It's just like, it's yet another thing. And part of me wonders, is this just yet another thing to distract from the Epstein files that he knows are coming, that the economy, that they've done the irreparable damage to it. It's already in the roller coaster's already starting to head down. Is all this just a distraction? Like, is this just yet another profane look at me moment?
Yes, but
I don't know.
I don't think it's a distraction so much as he's just a narcissist, and he wants us talking about him, and he wants the White House. He's a builder in his mind. He's not a builder.
He's like, I'm a builder. Nobody else is a builder like me.
Yeah, he's not a builder. Like, if those of us who live in New York, the last thing he built was probably Trump Tower, which was in the 80s. Like, he puts his name.
Yeah, right. He licenses his stupid ass name.
His name when he was doing, trying to get Trump Tower done in Moscow during the 2016 campaign. He signed a letter of intent in 2015 in October. On the very same day he went on the debate stage, he signed a letter of intent with a Russian builder to build the tallest building in Moscow, to put his name on it. He wasn't building jack. This was a guy named Rosov who was the builder, a Russian builder, and he was going to just brand it, and Ivanka was going to have a spa by Ivanka Trump inside it. Okay, this is what was happening in 2016. So to be clear, he was not and never has been a builder, or at least not for the last 40 years. He's a marketer. And this is another marketing ploy, which is why Michelle is right. By the time this is all said and done, there's going to be a Trump something etched in the White House. And I swear to the sweet baby Jesus, if the next Democratic president does not come in here and chisel all of it off personally.
Yeah. Make a whole thing about it.
Dig up that patio in the rose garden and replant those roses. If he doesn't do that, if he doesn't take a wrecking ball to that stupid Arc de Triomphe, not the Triumph, but
that shit down
that he's putting on the mall for his own self-aggrandizement. What pisses me off so much about this is, do you remember when Barack Obama wore a tan suit in the Oval Office?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And they all exploded. They all went.
Or he said he ate Dijon mustard.
Yeah, that was it.
Who
Five
does
Guys.
he think he is, not having yellow mustard? Like,
yeah,
the feigning of the first black over anything that the first black president did, basically without saying it, calling him an uppity black man, like every day on Fox News. Like,
they did it to Biden too.
You were there.
He had a milkshake, and then Jesse Waters is like, "It's not manly to purse your lips."
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I've hung out with Jesse. Let me tell you something. I've hung out with Jesse Waters. I could kick the shit out of Jesse Waters. And I'm 5'3" on a good day, and I don't weigh too much. Like, trust me on this. Jesse Waters should stow it. But that's not the point. The point is that these people are all hypocrites. And yesterday, our show was devoted to how much the media sucks. I think today I see a common refrain here is how hypocritical Republicans are. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But it is hypocrisy personified. And the media, of course, is calling it out in the sense of, oh, heavens to Betsy, they're eradicating, they're demolishing the East Wing, but they're not talking about it in the larger sense of the massive hypocrisy that these Republicans are engaging in when they enable this man to do what he does.
Could you imagine if Barack Obama, if he changed the color of the paint in one of the rooms, they would have lost their mind, said he was a dictator, said that, again, back to the uppity black man, who does he think he is? And this makes me so mad, especially as a New Yorker. Like, Julie, we know, and we've known for decades who this man is. We grew up around this shit. And it's like, you drive down the West Side Highway along Riverside Boulevard. There's all these high-rise apartment buildings, all of which have taken Trump's name off of them because people were moving. Keith Olbermann, remember, lived in one of those buildings. He sold his condo. People wouldn't buy anything in there.
I wouldn't buy. So listen, you want to hear a story about that before we go?
Please.
When I first moved to New York, my realtor, I did not want to live in that neighborhood. It's not.
It's also not near anything.
And it's not near anything, but and back then really it was kind of undeveloped. But
wind will whip you. You'll end up in the river.
Yeah, not my cup of tea neighborhood, but it doesn't matter. My realtor goes, why don't we take a look at one of these buildings? There's an apartment there. It's relatively cheap for an expense for what you're for basically what you're getting. I was like, I don't want to be down there. I don't want to be there. It's not I want it to be downtown. Anyway, he forces me to go look. And I walk in, and it is
not nice.
Your typical Trump, gilded bullshit. And gilded is the word. And then you go upstairs, And I go into this apartment, and I swear again, I'm not a big woman. If I had gone like this, like you could see, like if I touched a wall, I would have had a divot. It is the cheapest construction I've ever seen in my life. It
not
is
nice.
So bad. It's not nice. It is completely overpriced because I think they thought they could sell the Trump brand at the time. And I was like, this is the biggest bunch of crap I've ever seen in my life. And it was so emblematic. So emblematic of everything he does.
Anything that has his name on it in the city of New York. I mean, you walk in the lobby of Trump Tower. Now, my friends over at the Good Liars did a video about this, and he was like, wow, look at this. This is classy. Look at it. Because it's all garbage.
Yep.
I do have to call Julie out on something a little bit here. I mean, you didn't want to be the wife of a mayor because of where the mansion's located. So I don't know. You might be a little bougie. I agree with you on Trump.
I will tell you this. Those buildings are located on the other side of town. Also, kind of like Gracie Mansion, not in a place I want to be. If you listen, if you're living in New York, you're very specific about neighborhoods you want to be in.
Yeah.
West side, best side.
Yeah, and Gracie Mansion on the east side, where the mayor's house is, no thanks. And on the west side, where those Trump Towers are, very expensive now, not because of him. That's
and you're like a solid 20-minute walk from a subway. It's really far.
Yeah, it's not great. Anyway, all right. We talked about this yesterday, but we have more details. It's a truly underreported story in American media. The only American media source that I saw picked it up, except for me today, who has a Substack column on it, is Newsweek, and they reprinted something from the Dutch, from Dutch media. But long story short, Holland, the Netherlands, Holland is no longer sharing some intelligence information with us, citing concerns of, quote, politicization of its intelligence by the Trump administration. Now, what's even more alarming about this is that Dutch intelligence services actually rang the alarm by going public with this. Like they went public with this for a reason.
Yeah.
And it can't just be the Netherlands, right? Like they're the ones who went public, but it's gotta be more than that. I don't even know what to say about this. It's just completely terrifying because of course it's not just the Netherlands. And for people to think, well, it's just the Dutch, who cares? I cannot describe to you how much, because I did my research on this, how much the Dutch provide to us with respect to especially undersea intelligence. The Russians are now cutting cables in the North Sea and other places, and the Dutch are huge on this. You know, I just want to quote from Dutch media, which was translated into English, to underscore how bad this is. Their caution towards Washington is linked to what they describe as the increasingly autocratic course of President Donald Trump, who has dismissed senior officials for lacking loyalty and used lawsuits to pressure journalists, judges, and universities. The director said this is the first time developments in the U.S. are directly shaping Dutch intelligence ties, marking a break with decades of close cooperation with the CIA and NSA. Frederick, thoughts, concerns?
So I'm reminded of a quote by Nigel Powers, played by Michael Caine, who was the father of Austin Powers, played by Mike Myers in the movie Goldmember. There's two things I can't stand, Julie. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch. But besides that, I think this is pretty troubling, actually. I mean, to your point, the fact that they went public with this is huge. And and one thing a lot of people don't really understand is, I think it was sort of leaked or reported. You know, another thing is like, we're not really getting intelligence from the Five Eyes anymore.
Yeah.
Where we're being isolated by the intelligence community. And while I know a lot of Americans, especially MAGA, love to think that, oh, we could go it alone and we can go blah, blah. It's like, no. That's not how intelligence works, right? But I mean, this isn't really a surprise, because you had Pete Hegseth stop us supporting Ukraine, protecting them from cyber attacks from Russia. And that was before Operation Spiderweb. Basically, what the Dutch is telling the rest of the world, we're not reliable anymore.
Mm-mm.
We're not a reliable intelligence partner.
And we never
can't
will be again.
Yeah, we can't be
that's
trusted.
the key. That's
Right.
the key. And I think, Michelle, you hit the nail on the head. That is the key, because Biden tried very hard when he came back to tell the Europeans and the rest of the world, the Canadians, everybody who's our ally, he tried very hard to say this was an aberration and the United States is back. Well, it wasn't an aberration.
No.
This is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We chose this person again to lead us, which means that potentially after he's gone, even if another Democrat comes into power, we can go ahead and choose somebody like this again. Why in the world would anybody share their intelligence with us, put their sources at risk, put their methods at risk, when all of that could be turned over in a 10-minute conversation in the beast with Vladimir Putin?
It's another signal of the rest of the world moving on. And what a lot of people, they don't understand the interplay between intelligence, economics, and trade. It's not about like how many it's not about nuclear bombs anymore. It's not about tanks. I mean, Ukraine is proving that right now on the battlefield with Russia. Russia had the third largest army in the world. They're getting their asses just handed to them and exposed. The battlefield has shifted. Economics is shifting right now. I mean, you have, I saw this morning, Trump is talking about buying beef from Argentina to supplement our beef stock, which is insane. And that's because, and part of that is a throwaway to our cattle ranchers, because why? China's moved on. They're buying their beef from Australia. They're buying their row crops and soybeans from Argentina and Brazil. Canada has shifted. So has Mexico. They've formed their own trade pact. They formed pacts with the EU. And if you don't think that that's also shifting in intelligence, the Dutch is just saying out loud what's already happening behind the scenes.
But that's what's so scary about this, Frederick, is that the Dutch are actually saying it out loud, right? Like, they don't. This is
a 5-alarm fire. They're going, hello.
They did a joint interview, and it was the head of the civilian intelligence services, I suppose they're CIA/FBI, whoever their civilians are, and the head of their military intelligence. I mean, they decided to do a joint interview with Dutch media to say that we're no longer reliable. There's a reason they did that. And that is because they are flashing a 5-alarm fire. They were very clear that it was about the fact that we're not into democracy anymore, that we're politicizing our intelligence, I guess. They notably did not say they had concerns that we were sharing intelligence information with people who are their adversaries and used to be our adversaries. But I bet you that's really it.
And I've got a lot of friends in the intelligence community. I've got friends in the DOD, not the Department of War, the Department of Defense. If you look at Trump's first term, every time a CIA operative goes down the line, there's a star put up on their memorial. Count the stars that were put up during Trump's first term. Just count the stars that went up. It's like, it's no secret that there are leaks aplenty. I mean, you can't fill your bathroom up with intelligence reports and non-declassified material at Mar-a-Lago and all the things that he did, and just be another country and be our partner and go, they're a safe bet. They're a safe bet. Like, he's talking to Australian billionaires that about like, oh yeah, this is the sub and this is blah blah blah, and I know this, and he's not safe, and that I mean, and if you're a MAGA and you're talking to me about like, oh, Trump's going to keep us safer, no, dude, they've made us significantly less safe.
The absolute opposite. I mean, I think about too when he was at Mar-a-Lago before. Having the nuclear football guy just like kind of sitting there and having access, like he'd let people hold it and the whole thing. I mean, just absolutely crazy.
Bonkers.
And the last thing I'll say here is that I have a friend who I was working with on a project during the election last year who was a former CIA agent. and he does different work now.
Yeah.
But he said, and this was in September of last year, said, my friends in national security, not just here, but intelligence around the world, are all preparing for the United States to become a failed state.
Mm-hmm.
And when I followed up with him after the election, and he was working with a lot of federal employees who had been laid off to whatever during Doge, I was like, what are we going to do? What's going on? And he said, listen, he goes, none of this can be saved. We can't stop it. This cannot be saved. He goes, the only thing we can do is the people who are there now or the people on their way out need to save as much information as we possibly can. So if there is a day that comes, and he goes, and I do believe there will be a day, I don't know when that's going to be, that we rebuild this country. We're going to need all of that information to do that.
Yeah.
So, and that's coming from the top of the top of the top, not just in the United States, but around the world. And that is a very sobering.
No,
That was one of the most sobering things that have ever been said to me, was the words failed state. And it took my breath away. But here we are sitting here on October 21st of 2025, having the conversation of the United States, tumbling into a failed state. So,
well, in a failed state, I mean, if we need to get to the next one, I'll just make it. The thing is, like, a failed state, it all depends, but where something will come after this. I don't know what, but something will come after this. But going back is gone.
The thing is, something will come after this, but until the strain of destruction is eradicated, and it's not going to be eradicated with Trump's passing off this mortal coil or him leaving the White House, which I don't believe he will ever do until he goes off this mortal coil. Unless this mentality, it's like Hamas. I don't want to, and before everybody starts going crazy, I'm not comparing them to a bunch of, rapist killers, but you can no more eradicate Hamas because it's an ideology than you can eradicate MAGA with the passing of Donald Trump.
Right.
And I don't know how bad things need to get. And that's my fear.
Yeah.
Things had to get really bad for people to get rid of their ideology with respect to Germany after World War II, with the collapse of the Soviet Union. Things have to get really, really bad for people to say, holy shit. And again, I'm going to be a little Fredericky here. You go back to the French Revolution, those Jacobins, the early revolutionaries, killed everybody. The whole guillotine, 1793, they literally murdered everybody. Eventually, they were overthrown.
Yep.
But then what came next? What came next? War, and then the rise of an autocratic emperor, which was Napoleon. My point is, it doesn't necessarily get better.
No.
And that's the scary thing. And, and Frederick's absolutely right. Whatever we go back to now, it's not going to be what was before.
Nope.
One of Joe Biden's, I think, biggest mistake was trying to normalize all of this and to say he was a 4-year aberration. And not rip this cancer out by the root.
Yep. Black mold. That's what Matthew Dowd used to say all the time. He was like, it's like black mold. You can't just spray it or treat it. You have to go in there with a knife and you have to cut it out.
Yep.
You know? So we'll be right back.
So apparently Donald Trump is considering commuting the sentence of Sean Diddy, or P. Diddy Combs, who was sentenced recently to 4 years in prison for transportation for the purpose of prostitution, which that was one of the lighter offenses. But as we discussed yesterday, this comes on the heels of the commutation of former Congressman George Santos for, wire fraud, aggravated identity theft. Does this mean that Ghislaine Maxwell is obviously next? Is this means testing? Julie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it does. I think he's normalizing all of this so that by the time he gets to Ghislaine Maxwell, it'll be no problem. I wanted to say this. You talked about the Epstein files earlier and how you have to release the Epstein files. I believe any reference to Donald Trump and the Epstein files is gone.
Oh, yeah.
We know this because don't forget, in their infinite wisdom, the FBI had, I think, 1,000 agents in New York go through every part of it looking for references to Donald Trump. Now, unless some of those FBI agents were patriotic enough to make a copy or do something to save what is obviously evidence, I believe that it is the only person who can say that she witnessed Donald Trump doing bad things after that evidence is gone is Ghislaine Maxwell. So he needs to keep her close. And the only reason he may not release her commuter sentence right away is if he does, she's basically free to say whatever she wants, right? But if he dangles it out there in prison for a while, she can't say anything.
I was reading something yesterday, Julie, that was like, I have to go back and find it. Maybe we can talk about this later this week, but it had to do with the people who worked at the prison that she was moved to, saying that like this something ain't right. There is a cover up going on. There's all kinds of things. And I was like, to hear it actually said from the inside is like, well, yes, I mean, that just confirms our worst fear. And I'm to bring it back to the P. Diddy thing, you know, first of all, it annoys me to even have to talk about that man or to think about him. But it really does kind of matter in the larger scope of sex crimes, especially men, powerful men, and getting away with these sorts of things. I posted a screenshot of the TMZ article last night that I think they're the ones who first actually reported on this Trump considering commuting the sentence. And I put it on my Instagram last night. And I said, well, pedophiles like to protect pedophiles. And some rando got all up in my comments and was like, well, as much as you don't like him, he was not charged with pedophilia and blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay. Okay. I said, let's just talk about it. 120 accusers of Sean Combs came forward, 60 men and 60 women. 25 of those 120 were children at the time that the offense occurred, one of which was 9 years old.
Jesus.
Now, like, for anybody to use our justice system as the bar at which we should judge everyone, well, he wasn't charged. Look, American justice system, our court system, has never been on the side of the abused children, of victims of assault, of rape. Okay. I mean, I'm not even considering that, because this guy and the way that he was even treated during the trial, there were things, whatever. I don't agree with the sentence at all. But the fact is, you go back and P. Diddy, all the pictures of him from like the 2000s, they've been palling around with each other for a very long time. And I think P. Diddy has been getting away with murder, maybe not literally, but with this kind of stuff for a very, very long time. And I think Donald Trump sees himself in him and the things that they've been doing for decades. And he's just, again, Julie says this, he's always just testing the waters. These are trial balloons. What can I get away with? How can I massage the public? How can I normalize this to a point that when I do it, no one will care? And
like a predator, right? I mean, yes. Like a predator. If you've ever been sexually harassed or assaulted, I have never been assaulted, but I was sexually harassed in a very famous, allegedly, I have to say that. You know, how they do it, hypothetically, I have to say that too, is they you know, they invite you in, they make you feel good,
they love bomb you.
They love bomb you. They tell you, you know, you're going to be the greatest person ever. And then once you trust them, and once you get to a point where you're like, wow, this person's really like looking out for me, then they turn the screw. And this is what he's doing with the American people.
Yes. Wow, Julie, you should write about that.
I will write about that. He's turning the screw. He's turning the screw. And the final turn of the screw is Ghislaine Maxwell. Because if you get rid of your outrage with Santos, and then you get rid of more of your outrage with, by the time, you know, Diddy gets pardoned, which he will, eventually you're going to be kind of exhausted into outrage, with no outrage by the time we get to Maxwell. And that's exactly what he's doing. And all of his people will go along with it.
Yep.
Every single one, including, and let's not forget, this is the same Republican Party whose former speaker, Denny Hastert, was serving time in prison, not unfortunately for what he did, which he pled to, which is he's a child molester.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this isn't new to the
There's
Republican.
There's so many in that party.
And this whole Jesus nonsense.
Not
Not that Jesus is nonsense, but I'm saying their Jesus nonsense.
With the hypocrisy again.
The hypocrisy, right?
Yeah.
Their hypocrisy, wearing crosses. I mean, Caroline Leavitt with her big cross and Pam Bondi with her big cross.
Lying for a pedophile every single day at her job.
Every single day. And then Mike Johnson with his whole the president, with the dumping of the shit on the American people. Oh, the president's a master communicator. I don't want to hear about Jesus anymore from these people. And I don't want to be judged by these people for apparently not being a believer, because they're bad human beings. Mm-hmm. They are bad people.
Mm-hmm.
And they are groomers of the American people to get them to believe that everything is okay. And then they're going to turn the screw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, ladies, I think you said it all.
I don't know if there's anything left.
What more is there to say? These people are awful hypocrites, as is the theme of today's show.
Horrible, horrible, horrible people. And we'll be right back. So we want to talk really quick about the Trump's nominee to lead the Office of Special Counsel. I think, am I saying this right? It's Paul Ingrassia. Is that right?
Yep.
Ingrassia. Okay. So he's the nominee to lead the Office of Special Counsel at the Justice Department. He told a group of fellow Republicans in a text chain. This is yet again Republicans being caught texting. And in this, he said that Martin Luther King Jr. holiday should be tossed into the seventh circle of hell, and says he has a Nazi streak, along with texts like, I can't even say it. I just don't even want to say it. Let's just say that he talked about Kwanzaa and Black History Month and MLK Jr. Day and Juneteenth in not a very in a really horrible way. And he said that every single one of these holidays or recognitions for Black history and Black culture should be eviscerated. He did also use an Italian slur for Black people. And he has a Senate confirmation hearing scheduled for this Thursday. So Donald Trump famously said back, I think this was in 2015, 2016, he only has the best people, only has the best people, only has the best people. So what's with this Nazi problem with the Republicans? The Republicans seem to have a pedophile problem and a Nazi problem, and putting that Nazi and pedophilia stuff either in writing or otherwise. And I just have to ask, what's up with that?
Because it's part of the they love everything about the Republican Party today is spectacle. None of it is substance.
Yeah, it's all happening on TV, right?
And so the Nazi uniforms were designed by Hugo Boss, right? It was designed to look like
I still won't buy Hugo Boss because of that.
Yeah, so it was designed by Hugo Boss.
I actually did not know that, so thank you for telling me. Not that I'm buying Hugo Boss stuff, but I know I really won't. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's if you do some research is like, oh, wow,
IBM
was part of the Nazis,
right.
Like everything from IBM to Orange Crush and all that stuff. But it was designed to look powerful. I mean, the Nazis sort of with Goebbels and propaganda,
right?
The pageantry, all that, because these people are attracted to power, right? They're not, and it's loud power, it's spectacle, not quiet power of accomplishment or progress or moving, getting things to be better. That's not what they're attracted to. And so that's what you're seeing from Trump is you see him go to Gaza or to the Middle East or Egypt or whatever. And it's he receives his little award for ending the war. And then the hostage exchange happens. And then 6 days later, they're going right back at it. Because again, it's about let me get my little kudos. Let me pretend to be powerful. That's why they want to have parades. That's why they want to do all this stuff. As to the racism is like, that's really how they feel.
Yeah.
And the reason they push that so hard is because it goes against this notion that we are a white Christian nation, because we're not. Like in terms of colonial languages, Spanish was here before English. French was here before English. So was Dutch. So were a whole bunch of like
the English all the indigenous languages.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying it's like, and that's
for colonial, like
yeah.
And the Native Americans were here before.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing that always gets me. I was like, guys, like they're like, well, we made this guy. Like, no, we didn't. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing is, see, because if you have an MLK Day, if you have Juneteenth, if you have things like Kwanzaa, if you have these, what you then are forced to talk about is Black culture in America. And you're forced to talk about the contributions of African Americans. You're forced to talk then, you might need to talk about the contributions and the struggles of Asian Americans, the Chinese Exclusions Act, our Native Americans. And that really didn't come about until the 1960s. Like, women's history wasn't a thing. Black history wasn't a thing. No. It was the great man mythos, where it was like, that's where we still get this founding father, where they're these larger than life people that were, created this amazing thing for us, and they're almost deified, when it's like, no, they were very flawed. And, and what I don't really, where that I think does a disservice to us is, it's in talking about those flaws, it makes it even more impressive, right? And when you talk about the contributions of women, the contributions of Black folks and Native Americans, all kinds of folks, right? Jewish Americans, you name it. You get a richer history, right? And you get more buy-in from everyone else. And they feel like they have something more to contribute to this country because they're a part of this country. And they don't want that. They want it to just be white. But here's the problem. And this is why they're scared. And this is why they're pushing this so hard. Their numbers are shrinking. They can look at actuarial tables. They're going down, right?
Well, it's the extinction burst, right? They talk about, we talk about this, in that in the next 15 years, white people are going to be a minority in the United States. And so white Christian people, that's why they're going around telling everyone to have like 10,000 babies, because they're afraid that if they don't, they're going to be outnumbered. And in my opinion, I think that they're looking around saying, oh no, what if these people do to us what we have done to them? And people like this Ingrassia guy, who's the nominee to be running, the Justice Department, that is really scary, because you're in charge of our justice system in the United States. And, their view about MLK Day or all these other things, like, this isn't shocking. I mean, the fight that people had to go through even to make MLK Day a thing, like, so many Republican senators didn't want this to happen. And, they went out of their way. And this is why Stevie Wonder wrote the song "Happy Birthday to You." You know that song that we sing on a "Happy Birthday," like, that's about Martin Luther King Jr. Go back and read, the lyrics. And
Public Enemy did a famous protest song. I mean, it was about John McCain. It was "By the Time I Get to Arizona," and that
was the last state, by the way, the last state to have Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about this is, and I encountered this as a Southerner growing up, like, when whiteness is really your main feature and that's all you have, and you feel it's diminishing, like, then you go to extremism to try to keep it. But that's the thing, is it's a lie. It's design. I've seen this in the South. Like, you're holding on to some battle flag that was gone 150 years ago. You're holding on to this fake notion of whiteness while the rich folks are cleaning your clock. You're oppressing women, you're oppressing Black folks, you're oppressing all these other people, and you can't move forward if you're trying to step on someone else's neck.
Right. Well, I'm going to just say this. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, came out yesterday and said that the White House should pull his nomination because he's not going to pass. And that's because a few senators, including Rick Scott, shockingly, and others on the Republican side, said they're not going to support him. Coincidentally, Trump is having lunch today with the Senate Republicans to thank them for fast tracking his nominees. So it'll be interesting to see if the White House does double down on him or whether they pull him. Because if they pull him, that is a big black eye to Trump for nominating him. It'll basically be an acknowledgement that this guy is so unvetted that he could not pass even among Republicans in the Senate.
Right.
Or
tell and I was just, you know what I mean? The bar is so low.
Yeah, the bar is so low, right? Pete Hegseth, no problem.
No
problem. Kash Patel, no problem. This guy, I guess, for some reason, Republicans are like, oh no, not this guy, but it's okay to have Pete Hegseth, who's literally making the military a white supremacist, dominated Department of War. That was okay. So I don't know why they're drawing the line at this Nazi, because there's others that they approved. But I will say that it will be very interesting to see who blinks first today, the White House or the Senate. So we got to go, but keep an eye on the story, because this is a lot more than just about some guy who has a little bit of Nazi in him, according to him. This is about the who's going to dominate the legislative branch. My money's on Trump, but we'll see.
A little bit of Nazi.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready?
All right, you guys. This is the hypocrisy segment of our show today.
There's been a lot of them.
There's been a lot of them. This one takes the effing cake. Do you remember how Fox News host Laura Ingraham, along with the rest of the network, went nuts? And I mean, nuts on Hunter Biden for conflicts of interest and making money off his dad. Remember that? They like literally turned the entire channel over to running segments about this day in, day out. Well, guess who's in business with Donald Trump Jr.? You guys, you guessed it. Laura Ingraham is joining a venture with Donald Trump Jr. She is an on-air host of Fox News, and she's going into business with Donald Trump Jr. In a registration statement filed with the SEC on Friday, Ingraham and Don Jr. are named as directors of something called the Colombier Acquisition Corp. 3, which is a special purpose acquisition company. It's a SPAC, which Trump loves, that is seeking to raise $260 million in an initial public offering in order to acquire another company. This is what SPACs do. But wait, it gets better. The SPAC is based in that notorious haven for tax cheats and money launderers, the Cayman Islands. And so let me get this straight. Don Jr. has a company based in the Caymans, and Laura Ingraham, who continues to cover this administration with a straight face. And I guess that's okay. Okay, but Suzanne Scott, who's now the head of Fox News, is this okay with you? Like, is this okay for you to have your anchor who covers the administration in business with the child of the president in the Caymans with some sketchy SPAC that is they're trying to raise money? Who are they raising money from? Is it people that Laura Ingraham covers?
Listen, first of all, I think the way that Laura Ingraham is able to physically keep a straight face is because she has 100 units of Botox.
There it is, yeah.
Plugged into, and I say this as someone who I regularly get Botox. I got new Botox yesterday. I love my Botox. However, she gets so much of it that she's like this because I think that she physically has to keep herself from making faces, or, you know, it's like a medically induced poker face, I think is what she has. And the thing is also with her, she is not acting when she does. I mean, I think, Julie, you can probably attest to this better than anyone. She is an awful person. She is
in real life. She was always nice to me, but my understanding is she is truly awful to her staff and not a great person to work.
Yeah, and I talked to someone who she went to high school with, said that she used to like bully gay kids and stuff. Like, she's an awful human being.
She went to college with Dartmouth.
Yeah. And so, you know, none of this is surprising. It's always with these people, rules for thee, not for me. And again, it's like the dollar store Nepo baby part of the Trump machine. Like, Don Jr. is so beta. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what a broken, drug addicted, you know, at LP, we used to call him Coakley because, and, you know, we used to make videos about him just like, not. And we would put it to the song Cocaine. But anyways, like he's a disaster of a human being. And the fact that he's being put in charge of anything is like insane to me. But they'll raise that $260 million without any problem because of their proximity to power.
But from whom? Because is it people that she's covering?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I have to, full disclosure, I have this, unfortunately, I'm shameful to admit, I have a weird kink with Laura Ingraham. I had a dream about her once. Yeah.
Ew, gross.
Yeah. What it is, well, we'll hear it out. And again, I'm kind of ashamed of it. In the dream, I'm back working in aviation. I'm working in the counter, and she wants me to upgrade her ticket to first class, even though she paid for coach. And, I'm kind of fucking with her, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And she's just standing there getting frustrated. And I'm like, well, and I keep egging her on. I was like, well, let me see what I could do for you. And it just goes on and on, where she just keeps getting upset with me, in which I take immense joy in. But it's just with Laura Ingraham. So that's I want to just politely decline her. Like, I'm just like, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm doing everything I can. Do you know who I am? No, not offhand. I'm sorry. It's like,
well, that's a very realistic, do you know who I am thing that she would say. But
I know, and I would love to just say I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, she
I was kidding.
No. But I'm just saying, I don't understand.
I didn't have that dream.
I don't understand how Fox is. I don't understand how Fox allows this. I don't understand how she morally thinks this is okay. I mean, I know, I get it, but how she thinks it's okay,
right? Yeah,
it's Fox.
It is such a massive conflict. It is okay for them to fluff the president and his family on a daily basis, and I hate that word, but I'm using it here. But to actually go into business with him, I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine if all of a sudden, I don't know, Caitlin Collins at CNN was like, oh, by the way, in addition to everything else, I'm going to business with Hunter Biden. I mean, they would devote 24/7 programming to this.
I mean, I wouldn't like her to go in business with Hunter Biden, but would I be interested in seeing a trailer for a rom-com with that? Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. This is so upsetting to me because it's gross and it's.
But then, like,
if it was a Hallmark movie, it would have to be a Hallmark movie. It would have to be, like, she was a big time CNN reporter. He was a small town son of the president.
But and the irony here is that Hunter Biden's actually a brilliant guy, and he's really smart and charismatic, and has unfortunately, come into very similar problems that Don Jr. has, but just going about them in a completely different way, because one of them has a father who loves them and the other one doesn't. And, Laura Ingraham here, again, just to Julie's point, it's about normalizing the corruption. It's about normalizing,
of course.
And if they just do it, like, who's going to stop them? No one's going to stop them. Maybe in a few years, if there is a new administration, then they'll have to come back and pay, maybe literally and figuratively, for their crimes or mistakes or conflicts of interest. But
maybe they'll do a road show on Clarence Thomas's big, massive motor coach that was bought for him by that Republican donor. Just do a corruption road show. That would be an interesting concept, where they just go around the country and they just hang out with all these other people who are bought and paid for and have zero ethics. Yeah. Just put that on display.
But I have to say this, because they are, by the way, where I read this, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, read People magazine.
Yep, that's where I grabbed it. That's where I grabbed it.
I saw this in People magazine. When it jumps from political media to People magazine, it's penetrating.
Yep.
It's penetrating.
Yep.
And I don't understand why every single media reporter is not calling Irina Briganti, the head of comms at Fox News, and asking her, what the hell is going on? How do you feel about one of your banner anchors, the woman who hosts, I believe it's the 7 p.m. I forgot what she's in, 10 p.m., whatever that she's in, but one of your primetime anchors covering an administration while going into business and profiting off the son of the president.
Yep.
Once they got sued for and lost that massive, for propping up the big lie for 2020. But that's the thing. Even in Fox News is in court has said, their defense is, oh, we're just entertainment. And that's what Laura Ingraham will say. Well, I'm not a journalist. It's just entertainment.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, I agree with you.
Let me tell you this. When I worked at Fox, now I was not there full time. I was a contributor, and I was there full time, but I didn't work. I didn't have a W-2 from them. I was a contributor. So I was able to make outside income, which I did. And unfortunately for them, or fortunately for them, I was ethical enough. I didn't even donate to Democratic candidates because I thought that was unethical to do while covering these candidates.
Right. And there are laws in place, actually, like in the financial industry services. Like my husband works in finance. I have to report everything to his employer if I want to donate even $5 to anybody.
Yeah.
There's that much oversight. And for this in journalism, quote unquote, there should be. And this is just another story. This is why we're doing this at Mayday.
Yeah.
Why we're coming to these stories. And I just wanted to throw this up before we go. This is a screenshot off my phone from yesterday. This was the front page of the New York Times website yesterday. Lower income Americans are missing car payments, a sign they are struggling. We covered this story last week.
Yeah. Welcome to the story, New York Times.
Yeah. Right. So this is why it's the urgency of telling these stories in a timely manner, not waiting until it's too late. And telling the stories and sharing these stories with all of you in a way that, puts it under a microscope and sheds light, so
100%.
That's why we're doing this.
All right, everybody, we will see you right back here tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 6 a.m. Mountain Time. We're Denver, where Frederick is. He is in Denver. And we will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.